What is up, guys? Bradley Smith back here again, this time for a Bleach review. So, my original idea was to sit here and read off every single filler episode for the OG Bleach, but I'm just going to link those, not link them, but write those in the description, so if you just want to know what the filler episodes are, it will be in the description. So, Bleach. It is a manga/anime series. The anime, if I remember correctly, it was released in the early 2000s. I want to say 2000, maybe 2004 or 5. Not for sure exactly when it first aired. I am a huge fan, just don't know that much of the details of when it first aired and stuff. But the OG Bleach series ended after the Fullbring arc, which was episode 366. But the manga still had a whole other arc, and it took us years to get the final arc animated. But 2022, we got Bleach 1000 Year Blood War, still ongoing. We're currently waiting for Core 3, aka Season 3. It is supposed to be here October of this year, so that's good. If I find out an actual release date, like October 1st, I will make a video and update. But let's get started. What is Bleach? Who is the main character of Bleach? Okay, the main character of Bleach is a 16-year-old kid named Ichigo Kurosaki. If you don't know, the guy right here in the middle with the orange hair. Okay. I'm going to have to spoil some things that the anime does reveal and the manga reveals, but to me it's best to explain where Ichigo comes from so y'all know. So, spoiler alert. I want to say there's like 3 to 5 noble clans in Bleach from the Soul Society, but the main two you hear about is the Kuchiki clan and the Shiba clan. The Shiba clan. Why is it so important? Well, Rukia, let's start with... It's so hard to find out where to start, I'm sorry. Okay. To explain who Ichigo is, I want to explain who Rukia Kuchiki is. Rukia Kuchiki is one of the main female characters of Bleach. She is a Soul Reaper who is part of the Kuchiki clan. Her older brother is Byakuya Kuchiki. He is a captain. Rukia was in squad... Give me a minute. I have this wrote down. I just want to tell y'all for sure. Yes, Rukia is in squad 13. Okay. Well, she is the lieutenant throughout Bleach of squad 13 until the end. She eventually does become captain. I won't reveal how, but she does. But before she became lieutenant, when she first joined Squad 13, the lieutenant was a character named Kaien Shiba. Why is that important? Well, I'm going to explain why it's important. Kaien Shiba looked identical to Ichigo Kurosaki, except he had black hair. How is that possible? Well, the story is going to take us back years before Bleach ever started. It's going to tell us the story of a few different characters. Another character I need to mention real fast before I delve into this past is Oryu Ashita, a character from the core group who is rivals with Ichigo. He is a Quincy, and what a Quincy is a human who has spiritual awareness, pretty much. They can see hollows, they can see things that the normal humans can't. Spiritual pressure is practically the key chakra of Bleach, but there's also Reishi, which is similar to spiritual pressure. It's pretty much something that flows through all life. Reishi and spiritual pressure kind of go hand in toe together, like they're hand in hand, they're there. But Reishi. Oryu is something called a Quincy, and a Quincy can use Reishi to make weapons in battle. The most common Quincy weapon is a bow. So, Oryu's able to make a bow. And he's a pretty good character. He's up there. He's not in my top 5, but I do love him. I love his story arc. I love where everything goes. But why is it important to talk about him? Well, it's because we're going to get to who Ichigo's mom and father are. Ichigo's father, Isshin Kurosaki, was originally called Isshin Shiba, the head of the Shiba clan. You know, Kaien Shiba, who I just mentioned, looks just like Ichigo. Well, he is the nephew of Isshin. Well, Isshin, he was captain of Squad 10. There was some things happening in the human realm. And, well, there was this hollow. There's different types of hollows. There's a regular hollow, then there's, when multiple hollows go together, they become something called a Gillian, which is really tall, looks all powerful. And if there's one solid hollow mind that takes over in a Gillian, it can form one of 2 different forms of hollows. An Adhucha, which is like, kind of like, not really humanoid, it's not humanoid, it's more animal-like. And if they keep devouring other hollows of Adhucha level or Gillian level, eventually they evolve into the strongest form of hollow of Vasta Lourdes, which is humanoid. White, the hollow white, is a humanoid Vasta Lourdes. And the creator of him is the main villain for the first part of Bleach, Sosuke Aizen. Former captain of Squad 5. Well, Aizen thought it would be good to experiment, so he sent White to the human world where it was wreaking havoc, killing Soul Reapers. So Isshin was curious, he went to find out, and he ended up getting in a fight with it, and he was struggling. That's where Misaki comes in, Ichigo's mother, who was originally arranged to marry Ryukin Ashida. The last name Ashida is going to be very important because Ryukin Ashida is Oryu Ashida's father. So Ichigo's mom was originally arranged to marry Oryu's father. Why didn't it happen? Well, here's what happened. Misaki goes, she wants to save Isshin. Even though Quincy's and Soul Reapers are enemies, she wanted to help. She gets bit by White, but ends up killing White. Well, Isshin goes back to the Soul Society, no big deal, until he starts thinking about Misaki. So he goes back to check on her, and she's dying. See, a counterpart to a Quincy is a hollow. Their blood, their DNA are not meant to combine because it can kill you. Well, the sensei, Ichigo's master, his name is Kisuke Yahara. Former squad leader of, give me a minute, Squad 12. He's the former Squad 12, the Science Division. Well, Kisuke comes up with an idea. There's these body vessels, I can't remember the exact name of them, that Soul Reapers can go in when they come to the human world to fit in with humans. And Kisuke made one for Isshin. It would negate his powers until Misaki died. But it would save Misaki's life. So Isshin gave up being a Soul Reaper to save Misaki. Well, Misaki ends up graduating school. Isshin is a doctor or pharmacist, and, well, they end up falling in love, getting married. Because of her being corrupted by Hollow, Ryukin's mom just didn't think she would be a fit for her son, so that arranged marriage ended. But why is that important? Well, Ichigo is technically, at the beginning of the series, a human, a Soul Reaper, and a Quincy already, but he doesn't have access to his Quincy powers for some reason, and that's where Rukia comes in. At the beginning of the series, Rukia gets injured. There's a hollow attacking Ichigo's family. The way to make a substitute Soul Reaper is a Soul Reaper giving their powers to someone else, and they can become a Soul Reaper, and Rukia did that by stabbing her sword through Ichigo's chest, and he ended up with Soul Reaper powers. Well, Rukia ends up getting kidnapped because substitute Soul Reapers are against the laws of the Soul Society, guys. Like, it is completely against the laws. So, Ichigo and his group of 3 friends that he brings with him which we will discuss who each of these characters are. But before we delve any farther, I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but here we go. So, these are the realms that have been discussed in Bleach. There is the human world, aka Earth. There's the Soul Society. There is the Hollow world, aka Hueco Mundo. And then there's Hell. And above it all is the Soul Palace, the Soul King's palace, where the Soul King resides. Okay. Well, everyone has Reishi. Captain level Soul Reapers Reishis, when they die, their Reishi goes to Hell. That was involved in a one-shot. Don't know much about that. We're waiting for more information on that. But let's dive into these characters real fast. Here is the group of characters that go to the Soul Society to save Rukia. We have Ichigo, of course. We have Oryu. We have Orihime Inoue, which is practically the main person who loves Ichigo. Like, that is the main love interest. Well, I mean, Rukia and Orihime are kind of love interests, but you'll find out how it goes. And then we have, in my honest opinion, probably one of the best side characters in all of anime, Yasutora Sato, aka Chad. Orihime and Chad are something called a Fullbringer. So let's sit here, discuss what all species are before we continue this review. So there's a Soul Reaper. Soul Reapers are pretty much like governments of the dead. They are humans who die and make it to the Soul Society. They'll live there in peace. Some will go on to become something called a Soul Reaper, which is just practically the government there. Someone who has a sword. The swords are called Zanpakutou. Each Zanpakutou has a spirit inside of it with a name. There's 3 forms. There's the regular Zanpakutou, then there is a Shikai form, which is like kind of a medium area. It gives it some extra power. And then there's a Bankai, which is the most powerful form a Zanpakutou can take. It goes into its full power. Then we have humans, which everyone knows what a human is. We have Quincy's, which I've explained that. People who can manipulate Reishi into weapons. We have Vizards. Okay, Vizards. Before I mention Vizards, let's go to Hollows. Hollows are practically demons. What is a Hollow? A Hollow is a person's soul that is bound to Earth due to grieving. Soul Reapers' jobs are pretty much to come in, save them, they'll purify them, and they'll get to move on to the Soul Society. That doesn't always happen. Because sometimes if you were evil in real life, like your life before, when you get purified, you go to hell. You don't go to Hollow World, you don't go to the Soul Society, you go to hell. But if you were a good person, you're grieving, you're stuck, most of the times a Soul Reaper will show up to save you by purifying you. If that doesn't happen, your tether chain will break, and you will become a Hollow. A Vizard is a Soul Reaper who gains the powers of Hollow DNA. And they can make masks form on their face, and it's practically a power buff. And there is a group of Vizards in the show. We will discuss who the Vizards are right now. These are all the Vizards mentioned. Ichigo is a Vizard. But here's some other Vizards that we all know about. There is Shinji Hirako, and I may butcher these names. We have Love Aikawa, Rojiro Otterbashi, Kensei Muguruma, Mashiro Kuna, Hiyori Sarugaki, Hachigen Ushiado, and Lisa Yadamaru. Those are all the Vizards that we see in Bleach. Now, moving on, what is an Arankar? Okay, so a Arankar is parallel to a Vizard. A Vizard is a Soul Reaper who gains powers of a Hollow. A Arankar is a Hollow that gets their mask broke and gains the powers of a Soul Reaper. Aizen created these. He created these. And he has a group of 10 of them called the Espada. And each Espada represents an aspect of death. So, let's move on, speak about the Espada real fast. The Espada are numbered 1 through 10. However, it is later confirmed that they're really numbered 0 through 9. Okay, biggest question, alright? Who's the strongest Espada? Debatable. Could be Yami, who is 10-0. Could be Coyote Stark is 1. We really don't know. It's never discussed. It's never stated. Everyone has their opinions, and I'll get to who I think it is once I explain each of the Espada. Now, we're going to start with the 2 former Espadas. The previous Espada for 3. Sorry. The previous Espada for 3 is Neliel 2 Odal Schwanok. I butchered that. We call her Nell. Just Nell. And her aspect of death is unknown. Then we have the old 6, who is Loopy, and Tenor, who is also unknown. He took over when Espada number 6, Grimjow Jaggerjack, lost to Ichigo and lost his arm. He then got his arm back, killed Loopy, and took his place back. Okay, now let's move in to 1 to 10/0. Coming at number 1, we have Coyote Stark and Lilynet Gingerbuck, and their aspect of death is solitude. For number 2, we have Berrigan Loisenburn, whose aspect of death is senescence, which is the deterioration of age. Number 3 is Tier Harrybell. Her aspect of death is sacrifice. Then we come in and we got Ulquiorra Cypher. One, if not my favorite Espada. And his aspect of death is nihilism, which is the rejection of all religious and moral principles. Practically emotionless. Number 5, we have Noratora Gilga, whose aspect of death is despair. Then we have number 6, Grimjow Jaggerjacks, whose aspect of death is destruction. 7 is Amari Rurux, whose hedonism, pleasure is the highest good of human life, is what that means. For 8, we have Xylopora Grans, whose madness. For 9, we have Arino. I can't pronounce that last name, I'm just going to be honest, guys, and that's greed. And finally, for 0/10, we have Yami Largo, who is rage. Okay. So, moving back to where we were. First arc of Bleach ends with Rukia's brother and her brother's lieutenant. Byakuya Kuchi is her brother. Renji Obara is Byakuya's lieutenant and childhood best friend of Rukia. Yes, the Soul Society is weird. I really can't explain too much of it. I guess they really don't do too well at explaining it, because you see certain humans dying and going to the Soul Society, and then you see like kids in the Soul Society growing up like Rukia. Like, it's weird. So that I have theories on it. If y'all want a theory video of stuff, I can give y'all theories. But Byakuya comes and gets Rukia, takes her back to the Soul Society. She committed a crime. Substitute Soul Reapers are a crime. Well, Ichigo and the gang, they show up to save Rukia. And, you know, there's a lot of fights along the way against the captains. Like, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to talk about the captains that are the captains at this point. So, for one, the captain of captains is Jinrosai Yamato. Then we have Suifon in Division 2. Division 3 is Gen Ichimaru at this time. Division 4 is Retsu Unohana, who is the medical. Division 2 is Assassination Division. Division 4 is the Medical Division. Then for 5, we have Sosuke Aizen, who's the squad captain. Number 6 is Byakuya Kuchiki. Number 7 is Sanjin Kamamoru. Number 8 is Shunsui Kyoraku. Number 9 is Koname Tozen. Number 10 is my favorite of the captains, of all the captains in Bleach, and that is Toshiro Hitsugaya. Number 11, we have Zaraki Kenpachi, and what the 11th squad is it is the squad of the strongest. That is who Kenpachi means. He means strongest. And interesting fact, the person who was the Kenpachi before Zaraki Kenpachi was actually Squad Captain number 4, Retsu Unohana. For number 12, the Science Division, we have Mayuri Kurotsuchi, which Kisuke Yohara, Ichigo's sensei, was the previous captain. And then for 13, we have Jushiro Ukitake. Well, through this whole arc, there's fights, there's plenty of fights, but pretty much to simplify it, Aizen reveals his plans, and he leaves the Soul Society after a big fight between Ichigo and Byakuya. Aizen leaves with Squad Captains Gin Ichimaru and Squad Captain Kaname Tozen. So, Soul Reaper, the Soul Society, it finally accepts who Ichigo is. Like, they start working together, and, well, Aizen's the main threat. Well, Aizen sends a wrong card down to Earth, and Ichigo and friends beat them until they don't. You have to watch it to understand. I'm not explaining everything. I don't want to spoil it too much. I want it to be enjoyable. Well, eventually Orihime gets captured by Aizen. Ichigo and the group, and I'm talking about the group. This is the group. Ichigo Kurosaki, Chad, Oryu Ishida, Renji Abarai, and Rukia Kuchiki. These guys go to Hueco Mundo for some major fights to get Orihime back. Well, they succeed in getting Orihime back, only for them to find out that in a fake version of the town that they live in, because the Soul Society knew Aizen's plan of making a key to get to the Soul King Palace, they switched towns, so the town that Ichigo and his friends live in was moved to the Soul Society, and a fake town was put into place just so they could fight freely with no civilian casualties. Well, Aizen took something from Kisuke Yohara. He made something called a Hogyoku. I'm not going to reveal too much of it, just know it can cause you to be immortal. Aizen fuses with it. We never see Aizen's Bankai. I will explain what his Zanpakutou does. His Zanpakutou is called Kyoka Suigetsu. Its summoning, or its reveal for his Shikai to activate, is Shatter. Kyoku Suigetsu. Complete hypnosis. Unless you touch his blade, you will fall under its hypnosis. Well, Gin ends up revealing he is a traitor of Aizen and tries to beat him. Sadly doesn't. Ichigo's Zanpakutou, Zangetsu. Zangetsu, there's two of them. There's a white, hollowish looking Ichigo, and then there's an oldish man who I'll get to reveal who that is shortly. But Ichigo, he trains with his dad in between the human world and the Soul Society. He trains there because it's timeless, and practically he gives up all his soul power for strength, endurance, everything, just physical attributes, and he goes to fight Aizen. And he ends up doing really good. He finally just uses all of his powers for one final Getsuga Kensho called the Final Mugetsu, where he changes form, hits Aizen, and, he cut Aizen, but because Aizen form fused with the Hogyoku, he started healing. And, well, Kisuke showed up, and they imprisoned him. Moving on to the Fullbringer arc, it's been, about a year to 2 years since Ichigo lost his Soul Reaper powers, because he did. He ends up meeting a group of Fullbringers. I'm not going to go into who every Fullbringer is. There's only one that y'all really need to know about right now, and his name is Ginjo. Don't remember his last name, but he is the very first Substitute Soul Reaper. He is the reason Substitute Soul Reapers are banned. And he teaches Ichigo about his Fullbringer power, which Chad and Orihime. Chad was revealed to be a Fullbringer in that arc. Orihime was revealed to be a Fullbringer in a data book. Well, Ichigo and him fight until Ichigo's Fullbringer power breaks. And Ichigo feels helpless. He's on the ground, it's raining, he's crying, and out of nowhere, a sword goes through his chest. He turns around. only to see Rukia, and he's afraid he's taken Rukia's power again, and Rukia explains to him that it is a special sword that Kisuke Yohara made, and it has the powers, it has the soul power and reishi of multiple different people, and he turns around and he sees people like Renji, Kisuke himself, Rukia, his dad, Byakuya, just people that he's worked with and grown these bonds with, and with that he's able to beat Ginjo. And that's how the Fullbringer arc stops. Now we're moving on to real territory, where we're at now in the anime. Who is the main villain of Bleach's 1,000-Year Blood War? Because the Quincy's are extinct, right? At least that's what you're told throughout Bleach. The Quincy's are practically extinct. Well, welcome to the Sternritters and their leader, Yalwatch, aka Juaha Botch. He is the first Quincy. He is the father of all Quincy. But most importantly, he is the son of the Soul King. Juaha Botch, aka Yalwatch. He was born blind. He was born without any of his 5 senses. But his purpose, he was able to give out parts of himself to make other people stronger, to give them powers, making Quincy's. Until he decided to take his power back because he needed it. He can see. He has all his senses now. And how? Certain people were born as Quincy's already, but he made certain Quincy's. And the certain Quincy's that Yalwatch made, well, we're going to have to go all the way back to the beginning of Bleach real fast, before the events of Bleach ever started. You see, what happened to Ichigo's mom? What happened to Masaki Kurosaki? Well, at the beginning of Bleach, you're sure she died by the anchorfish hollow, the fishhook hollow, but she didn't. You see, when Ichigo was a kid, him and his mom was coming home from karate practice when Ichigo noticed a girl who was about to jump into the river, and he wanted to run down there to save her, and then he blacked out, only to wake up to his mother being dead. But she's a Quincy, how would she die? Well, on the day of Masaki Kurosaki's death, a lot of Quincy's died, including Oryu's mother. See, Yalwatch woke up that day, and he needed his power back, so he took his power back. And all those Quincy's power he took his power back from, they died. Yalwatch is the true reason Ichigo's mother died. This whole arc, this whole final part, it has been working down to it. Yes, Aizen is the reason Ichigo is who Ichigo is. But Yalwatch probably caused the most pain in all of Ichigo's life by killing his mother, not meaning to. There is a group of Sternriders, and every one of them have a letter. And the letters mean something. I'm going to not go through and describe everyone. I'm going to describe a few. So the letter A is, of course, Yalwatch's letter. But it also belongs to someone else. And what does the A stand for? It stands for antithesis. And that went to Oryu Ishida. Because Oryu is one of the only Quincy's that was there, that was not in this shadow world of the Soul Society from the very first war between Quincy's and Soul Reapers, which is a whole different discussion I'd have to make a whole different video on. But he survived Yalwatch taking all of his power back. And to Yalwatch, that meant he was a true Quincy. He deserved to be the next leader. So Oryu Ishida was marked with A, the heir to the throne. His power was event reversal. The one who is always everyone in the Sternritter thought was meant to be the next in command, Jugrem Hawswatch. B, the balance. Power, misfortune, redirection. He can change any type of misfortune and redirect it. There is so many cool people, but if I'm talking about my favorite Sternritter, I gotta go with H, the heat, Bazby, power of flames, power of fire. His backstory in the manga that hasn't even been animated yet. Just his history with Jugrem and Yalwatch. It's honestly so good. But we're going to get down to what happens. The final fight. Ichigo versus Y'all Watch. Well, Y'all Watch. When y'all see Y'all Watch for the first time in the anime, or in the manga, y'all are going to realize something. He looks just like Zangetsu. And why is that? It's because all this time, Ichigo hasn't known he's been a Quincy. Until he met Y'all Watch and he found out the truth. He found out the truth about his mom. He found out he was a Quincy. He found out his mom was a Quincy. See, White, the hollow that bit Misaki before she killed it fused with her. Yes, she was saved, but she passed White down to Ichigo. That's why he is a visored. So, his Zanpakutou had two spirits in it. It had Y'all Watch, that was showing his Quincy side that never truly let him get strong. Then he had his Soul Reaper power and Hollow power in White Ichigo. You know, it's poetic. Both sides were there the whole time, and you just didn't know until you got to this final arc, and it's really good. The plot twist. And then Ichigo, his first fight against Y'all Watch, his Zanpakutou broke, and he had to go to the Soul King Palace. And that's something we gotta talk about. We gotta talk about the Squad Zero. Who is Squad Zero? Squad Zero is the Royal Guard. They are the ones who protect the Soul King. And, well, they revealed that Aizen's plan of trying to make a Soul Key would not have worked. He would have killed a bunch of people for no reason, because the Soul King is something that gets implanted into your body. And there is only 5 members of the Royal Guard. We're going to start with number 1, who is Ichibe Hyosubi, the leader, and he created names. For number 2, we got Tenjiro Inji, who has Hot Spring. His creation was Kido. Why is the Hot Spring important? Well, the Hot Spring was meant to bleed out your soul pressure while making it go in and out, just to make you feel better, get you healed up faster. And it also is something that will cool down your Zanpakutou. Then we have Kiryu Hikifune, whose creation was Artificial Soul. Then we have Oetsu Nimaya, who created the Zanpakutou. And then we had Senjimaru Shitara, who wasn't revealed to create anything. But when Ichigo's Zanpakutou broke, him and a few others went up to the Soul Society. Ichigo finally found out everything about his Zanpakutou, and he ended up getting his true Zanpakutou, which was 2 blades. And when he went to cool them off, his final words was, "Thank you, Zangetsu, but I got it from here." And he said goodbye to Zangetsu. It's only him now. And it was poetic, and it made me cry, and I loved it. But the final fight, I'm not going to reveal too much. Just know you get Renji, Ichigo, and Aizen versus Y'all Watch. It is a good series. There is so much more I could talk about this series. There's so much more I could go into depth on, but that's all I have to cover for right now. And I hope, if anything, what's so poetic to me about it is chapter 1 of the manga is Death in a Strawberry. The final chapter of the manga is Death in a Strawberry. It's full circle. My wife told me if I get 300 likes on this video, she would watch Bleach with me. So I'm asking, hit that like button. I really want to get her to watch Bleach with me. For a future video idea, if y'all want to hear me talk more about Bleach, let me know. Like, we can discuss some more. We can go into theories. What I want is some of my supporters follow me on Instagram. It is the Bradley Smith, same as here. I want to do a screen recording of me FaceTiming one of y'all and just us talking about anime, regardless if it's anime theories, regardless if it's my review of something. I want to discuss. I want this with y'all. But other than that, guys, this has been the video, and I hope y'all really enjoyed, and if y'all want more, please let me know. Don't forget, hit that like and subscribe, and y'all have a good one. See ya.